I definitely feel that we're doing our part, keeping our water use down. The water we do use, a lot of it is going to something that's functional, food that we can actually eat, which I think is kind of cooler than watering a lawn that just sits there. I think it's really important that we're careful with water and we try to do what we can.
A lot of people don't know where their water comes from or the magnitude of the whole system that gets their water to them. We try to talk to people about how they can achieve what they want and do what they want and have what they want and use less water doing it.
It's important for people to understand that every little action they take with regard to water efficiency makes a difference. I think most people want to make good choices around water, they just don't know how.
Efficiency is just doing more with less. There's no sort of self-sacrifice there. It's just we're doing better with what we have.
The fact is that water supplies are going to be stretched further in the future than they have been in the past. It's an issue that is inevitable, and we need to be ready for it.
It's hard to underscore how serious it is that we rise to this challenge and meet it. And I think it's going to require us to look at water efficiency in a whole new way.
There are tens of thousands of people moving to this great state every year. We need to be thinking proactively. Our neighborhood opened in the mid-1960s, and the toilet fashion of the day was a 3.5-gallon standard flush toilet. So we began a project of replacing toilets in homes, and sure enough, our water bill dropped by a couple of million gallons.
I think there's two big trends that are going to happen with water efficiency in the coming years. One of those is a transition away from a focus on indoor water use efficiency, plumbing fixtures, toilets, faucets, that kind of stuff, and over towards outdoor water efficiency. What are we doing on the landscape? How are we changing our irrigation systems or sprinklers, the types of plants that we choose outdoors?
As we went through our xeriscape and landscape retrofit, we were planting plants recommended by the people at Plant Select, and they recommended to us plants that would help us accomplish a job of looking beautiful while using less water. And slowly but surely, our water consumption dropped from 36.7 million gallons of water a year to last year 20.8 million gallons of water. We want to make the place look better, and we want to boost our property values too by having a much more attractive neighborhood.
On that same trend is understanding more about where your water comes from. The whole idea of the rain barrel legislation was to get people better connected with their water. Because someone who has a rain barrel begins to think about, oh, it hasn't rained in a while. Or, boy, it really takes a lot of water to irrigate my tomato plants. And they begin making the connections to the fact that water is a scarce resource, that they need to treat it with respect.
I think the number one thing that we want to achieve with our pilot in Park Hill is having customers have a discussion about what it is that they need for their actual amount of water per their area of their landscape. We're trying to get people to a target of 12 gallons per square foot per year because we're seeing that's where our average customers are coming in, and they still have thriving landscapes. They have beautiful vegetable gardens.
Sprinkler audits are great. We have an auditor that goes to a home. The homeowner has volunteered. We talk about what it means to be in a semi-arid climate and really what the grass needs versus what it doesn't need. We talk about what we call cycle soak. You water for a little bit, let it rest, and then water a little bit more, and it can actually soak in and teach them how to do it themselves. We're collecting the right information, and it's being put into this nice, neat little short report that illustrates some of these benefits in ways that customers care about.
One of the biggest benefits of changing your outdoor landscape is that it becomes more functional. If you put in a patio, it becomes a place where you can sit and enjoy it. And it just becomes more interesting and fun to look at than a flat, monotonous piece of green.
We actually work with Denver Urban Gardens and Denver Public Schools to look at how do we take out unused or less used turf areas and put in community gardens in those areas. Normal turf is anywhere from 12 to 18 gallons per square foot. And we're seeing these community gardens come in at 9 gallons per square foot pretty consistently. You change a school's landscape and it can change an entire neighborhood.
Denver Public Schools is the second largest landowner in the Denver metro area. 185 school sites. We have 110 gardens at those school sites, and we actually have 5 larger production farms. At Denver Green School and on the farm, the drip irrigation system soaks the ground efficiently right next to the plant versus spraying water. The water's at the root and doesn't evaporate, so way more efficient than a regular irrigation. Denver Public Schools is really kind of on the leading edge of water management and really being more proactive about how we're using water.
I think the big differences between the east and west slope are the motivational factors. On the Front Range, we have lots of growing population, we have limited existing water availability, there's an obvious incentive and directive to conserve water. On the western slope, population is not as big, it's not growing as fast, they generally have ample water supplies. So on the western slope, sometimes water efficiency is happening for other reasons than water conservation purposes.
The Roaring Fork watershed includes Aspen at the headwaters, Basalt, Carbondale, Glenwood, and Snowmass Village. One of the recommendations of the Roaring Fork watershed plan was to do more work on regional water efficiency. There are a number of thoughts behind that. One, of course, is to use less water for consumptive use, which will translate into more water for recreational and environmental use. Another is that if we ask Denver or Pueblo or Colorado Springs to conserve water so they divert less from the western slope, we need to be able to say that we're doing our part to conserve water with equal enthusiasm. This valley has a long history of cooperative efforts to solve common problems. I hope it sets an example that can be applied elsewhere in the state.
In the future, we're going to be much more able to access our individual water use data. I think we're going to be seeing it on your smartphone. You'll be able to look at it and tell how much it actually takes to water your yard, how much it takes to run your dishwasher, how much it takes to take a shower.
I think the future development in Colorado is empowering the homeowner with information to manage his or her home. Sterling Ranch is 3,400 acres, that's almost 6 square miles, and will be home to 12,000 residents over the next 20 to 25 years. We really don't use the word conservation for water. We use the term demand management. How much water do you need? We need grass, but think of grass as a throw rug instead of a carpet. We spent a 5-year study with the Denver Botanic Gardens, coming up with plants that look good, don't use much water, don't die if you have a drought, with hybrid grasses that use substantially less water than Kentucky bluegrass. As opposed to everyone having a large yard, you have pocket parks for kids to play, so they can walk to them in your neighborhood. The next biggest water savings is using rainwater. All the common areas like landscape areas, the fields for kids to play on, that's all done with rainwater. Rainwater harvesting is efficient, it improves water quality, it reduces costs to the residents dramatically, and it doesn't injure downstream water rights. The most important thing we learned at Sterling Ranch is the integration of land use planning with water demand management. Second most important is to provide the homeowner information about what's going on with water use.
It's very important from a perception standpoint that farmers see that our cities are doing everything they can. You know, drop for drop, yes, we will get more water out of agricultural efficiency for our overall water supply than from urban efficiency, but it's important that the urban areas show that they're pulling their weight and they're doing their part.
If you look at the state water plan, some of these things are going to require us to have hard conversations about what we're doing as society, as an individual, and we're going to get better at those conversations. We've added 350,000 more people to Denver Water Service Area, and we use the same amount of water as we did in 1974. That's everybody doing a lot better job of managing water.
We've been steadily decreasing per capita water use by about 1% per year for the past 15 years. That needs to continue for another 30 or 40 years. More people are moving here, and we have a need to meet the water needs of our future residents. And we can do that by taking more water out of rivers, we can do that by taking water out of productive farmland, or we can do that by being more efficient with the water supplies we already have.
Everybody lives in Colorado. For some reason, more often than not, it's founded in the fact that it's so beautiful and we have this wealth of natural beauty and natural resources. So what that means for us is making sure that we're using our water resources wisely.
We've been able to live within our means just because our supply and demand were kind of at an equilibrium. We are moving into an era where our population is increasing dramatically and our supplies are becoming more scarce or more erratic.
I'm definitely concerned about water. It's definitely an issue here in the West, and there's not enough, and I imagine that's only going to get worse in the future. So I think it's really important that we're careful with water and we try to do what we can.